Yeah. So you can go into them deeper, but we're just, when you're going over a lot, you're just going over, you get a little pot. It's enough to see that later on when you're talking to someone, you're relating to someone, you're into a complex, and you go, why is this happening? And you start noticing what's happening, because here, then you can walk into this, then it unfolds experientially in a much deeper way, and you're right in tune with it. It starts to guide how you see it. So we see the puzzle in this life. We see the seesaw in this life, between the reality and the understanding, between getting the time for my understanding or doing things right to hold everything together, and the puzzles to do the two. That's normal. This person's chart is normal. There's not anything wrong with this. We're just seeing the uniqueness of how the puzzles work around in him. So that's the Aries there. It's real. And so we did the Mars, we did the third house. Okay. So as soon as a brother or somebody else wants to borrow money from him, there's going to be a fight. Or as soon as the partner, whoever, when it comes to joint resources and what we're buying, what mortgage, what other commitments, what other payments, what are costs for the kids, for whatever, it's going to be making demands on him. His nature is to answer those demands. That's his moon in Aries, especially demands for the wife or for the family. But that he'll have to work hard to do it, and there'll be long-term commitments come in because of it. That's there too. The Saturn's not afflicted, so he'll take care of those things. But his personal need for philosophy, for understanding, for spiritual associations gets challenged to be able to, it gets challenged to books, to readings, to study. It's hard to get that on a day-to-day basis, except in his own disciplines. Okay, sixth house, the type of work. Aquarius there's a need to be Saturn ruled. You just have to work and have skills that are going to pay you money. You gotta have some skills so you can get a trade, you can get a job, it'll pay for money. And the more you can get skills that allow you to be administrative, the more you would take it. But half of them is naturally inclined to be the administrator, but half of them doesn't want to have to do that many more time demands, more commitments on him. So even though he has the ability to be really ambitious and do things, as soon as people start telling him what to do with other things, it weakens down how much he wants to do. He'd be happier doing his own business, but it's going to be hard to get his own business to be stable enough around money to pay for the debts. So he has a job, he has a business, he works up a second business. He might work up the astrology, the knowledge, the air, being able to advise people responsibly. That's the Aquarius in the sixth house. Moon in the seventh house of counseling, solving people's problems, eighth house, Saturn there. Yeah, he could do this. He could make money by having astrological skills and work it in as a second career, as a hobby career, until it takes over. And sooner, if he gets good enough, he'll be busy enough, and the other things can be let go of, and he can do what he wants. He'd be very happy running his own shop of something with nobody so much telling him what to do. It's Capricorn on the fifth house. Fifth house is your performance, your playfulness, how you play, how you romance, your playfulness. He has Capricorn there. He's really serious around this. So thinking about the kids, what they need, what performance, he's inhibited and cautious. It's social. It's, what do I have to do for the kids? How can I make this more efficient? How can I make this better? Taking care of kids, romance. He plans these things. These are serious things. It's almost anyone, most people with Virgo rising will have the Capricorn in the fifth. So their performance will be a little bit inhibited. It could be very tactile, very physical, but there's no planets in there. There's not the bad aspects to it. It's ruled by Saturn. Again, the skills and the performance ruled by Saturn, which means there's so many responsibilities and so much. How can you probably grew up without having hobbies? There were too many kids, too many things had to be done, and you weren't encouraged to be playful, not in any costly way. So there was probably a tightness around money growing up and not enough money to spend to hobbies or other things. But he's going to be cautious himself, but he's going to have to work hard so the kids can do the things they want to do. And there's a limit to how much he can do and how much he does. So like, this is a cautious element around performance and play. So a therapy for him would be being overcome those inhibitions. If you're married to a person and is cautious around it, well, it's going to be more practical. Well, let's go dancing, let's go do something physical, let's go walking, let's go out somewhere, and it would open up other areas. By nature, he's going to be so time concerned about what has to be done. He's going to be worried about the money, the Saturn in the eighth house. How much time is there to play? I have to take care of this, have to take care of this, it will have to wait. the tendency to work a little too hard. But because there's no planets and those, it's not really heavily accentuated. It's just a tendency. The other things are more predominant in it. But this tendency, as soon as his feedback at the descent, as soon he puts his energy out in the world, he does the things he does, he may accomplish things, he gets some things done, and then he gets the response. Did you do enough? I did everything perfect today. Oh yeah, but did you pick up the stuff at the grocery store? Oh no, I'm sorry, I'll go do it now. Like he's sensitive to that feedback. So whenever there's something wrong or there's difficult feedback, he's going to get inhibited. He's going to take responsibility for it. Saturn rules that. He's going to feel moral. Jupiter, right, rules the Pisces on the descendant, but the Saturn ruling the 6th and the 5th, he's going to feel, I have to do something with it. I have to perform better. I have to fix things. He's going to have, how do I get the time to fit this in? And he'll work out a plan to try and do it. And based on how well he's doing with that, that's going to come in and affect his motivation. I did okay. Wow, I got it. That was great. A little encouragement for him will go a long way to projecting a little common understanding or thinking you're understanding him and your encouragement. Wow, that's going to have a huge effect on him. So this is pretty good. This is pretty much, we've gone through it, and in dealing with the sun, moon, we pretty well got the main focus. Then we looked at the Venus to take the other main aspect in. And we pretty well done a pretty thorough thing, although it's more thorough if you take each planet specifically. You get more insights added to this, the sign, the house, and it walks through. But making these associations, the thought, the theory, the planet, and the sign, the house, this is all grammar lessons. When you're talking to someone, you're not talking that, you're making those associations and trying to see how it's working in their life. They don't need to know technique. You just ask them how you get along with your dad, or what's happening with your mom, or what hobbies have you got. It'd be difficult for this guy to have hobbies. The moon's opposed by Pluto, is in the T-square, Saturn's ruling is, there's so many commitments he has to do first. When is he going to have time to have a hobby? But he would have to work to find time to study, to learn the things he wants. So it's interesting, his main focus is above the horizon, sun and moon. That's the half of the C-spot, doing socially meaningful things, living up to it. And all of those things require more time demands. You meet someone, you have to help them. You're working with someone, you have to do things. Married to someone, you have to do things, all these things. And then the other side, well, what about me? Like that's the seesaw that's pulling. And every now and then he'd have to do something, but the more he's able to get some things to himself, the easier it will become to do the others. But the others making so much demands, they don't leave him the time to do his own things for himself. Hence the seesaw. Everybody's different. Everybody's got their story. Everybody has their own magic within it. And everybody has their way of making the signs and the houses work well, regardless of the aspects. So when you're talking to a person, and you're trying to consult someone and advise someone, you're advising planets and signs and houses. The aspects are just alerting you to where the complexes are. But the person shouldn't overwhelmingly concentrate on the complex as if it's their definition. It's just the lock of energy. It locks into this pattern, and then you have to use it. And the stress may be uncomfortable, but it's what makes things happen and go. You can't have a baby without stress. Well, really, if you're thinking like that, C-sections don't have the stress. And the kids born on C-sections are probably the ones taking all the antidepressants today because they can't deal with the stress so instinctively. But normally we got to have that stress to get through that cervix and push through it and go through that, and the stress, that pain, and that resolves into the light of life. How incredible. But that gets our heart pumping, it gets everything going. It's intense, but it's alive. So you can't be afraid of the squares. You can't read the aspect in this aspect is ruining your life. What it's saying is this aspect is showing the stress in these factors. Then you're having to figure, how do you make the moon work better instead of that stress? How do you make the ascendant or Pluto work better in spite of that? And even though this is going on, you still have to be your nature. So we're caught here. We're in our life and we got what we got. We got to work through it. For our whole life, who will it be? But it's different when we're 16 trying to get laid, and then when we're 30, when we're trying to get our family and how things together, or when we're 16, we're trying to retire, or we're older than that, and who knows where we are. But generally, you have your attachments into life, and as you get towards your 60s, it starts winding down. Not for everybody, it's supposed to, and your spiritual path starts burning more brightly as you start seeing the end part more. But many people with difficult charts get forced to get their spiritual life in place much earlier so that it can atone for the stress that's out there. So it balances it. So a difficult chart, you got to be here's these difficulties, here's these challenges, but at the same time, those challenges are special gifts that open you up to angels. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here. I'll send you what's the chart for next week? 1 second, we'll just have it here. We're doing chart 2, I need 3. Yeah, here we go. So I'll just show you it. Sample 3 is Cancer, another Cancer, with an Aquarius moon. So I'll be sending these, and we work on it. I mean, basically, you basically want to get the first 10, 15 things done. So you've done the points and you count the points, so you get used to doing that, and that becomes normal sense. And you work the angles and the other stuff. You take a few minutes to look at each planet and the sign in the house and make some associations. You're not going to do it as deeply as you did with your own chart, but it's useful because you're testing it as you're seeing the things. Then when I'm coming and talking about it, you say, oh, what about this? What about this? It starts stretching how you're able to see the chart and confirming what you can do. So, okay, thanks, and we'll pick it up from here, and I'll see you next week. Okay, night.